Welcome everyone. I see the members are going up, and so I think people are probably still jumping on for the pre-law advising session, which it is great to have you all. Hopefully you can see my screen. This is pre-law advising at Gettysburg College. It's our virtual Get Acquainted Day session for you all. My name is Tiffany Kurzawa. I'm one of the pre-law advisors on campus, in addition to Professor Scott Boddery. I work in our career engagement office, so I'm in the student affairs side of the house, and Professor Boddery is in the political science department as a professor. And so we work closely together to support students on campus through courses, obviously with faculty, but extracurricular opportunities and advising and support as they're thinking about going through the law school pathway. So as we get started here, I do have a couple folks who you'll get to meet in a little bit, and they're going to share a bit about their experience here at Gettysburg College as students going through pre-law interests and heading off to potentially law school and adventures in life here after Gettysburg. So you will get to see them speak in a little bit, but I just wanted to go through a few quick things. If I can get my screen to, there we go forward. As you may know, and hopefully you've heard, Gettysburg College does not necessarily have a standalone pre-law major or track or a concentration. It's not an official program, but it's more of a support system to students. Again, as you heard, it's faculty and it's student affairs combined to support our students through their liberal arts education and their interest in law school. And as I'm sure you'll hear from some of our students, each of them have paved their own pathway through Gettysburg, maybe a little bit uniquely in their extracurriculars and their academics. And so that's an important piece to us at Gettysburg, and we fully support them being able to do that. The American Bar Association actually discourages from any particular major, and that's one of the biggest things that we often tell students, is that your major does not necessarily lead you to law school. There's a variety of majors that you can get involved in, and so it's all about finding your interests and what you enjoy learning about and excelling at that. A pre-law track does not necessarily increase your chances of admission to law school. And if you've ever spoken with any law school admissions staff, they are adamant that your major doesn't necessarily matter. They take a holistic view of their admissions process. And oftentimes, you know, they like seeing different majors. And so for them, it's important to know you have a well-rounded education, you challenged yourself, and you've grown in your experiences and what you're bringing into the law school atmosphere. So that's a little bit about pre-law at Gettysburg. We do not have that program, but we are very much supportive of students in getting there and have a pretty good success track of doing so. Our commitment, we offer certainly one-on-one advising to students who are interested in going. Again, everybody's pathway might be a little bit different. Sometimes that's being unsure as a first year or a sophomore, not entirely clear on whether or not this is the right path. And so we can talk through some of those things all the way through once you're in the process, to getting through the process, to making the decisions of what law school to attend, and then beyond that too. And it also doesn't necessarily stop at Gettysburg College, because we recognize that not everyone goes to law school right after undergrad, and that's an individual path, again, that if you take time, but we are committed to our alumni as well, so that when the timing is right for you as a Gettysburgian, we are here to support you. So we will help during these 4 years and beyond that. So some of our programming related to pre-law, certainly once you start in the fall at Gettysburg College, during orientation, we have a special session that kicks off, and we go through some of our programming and support and resources that are available for students at Gettysburg College. You know, both Scott and I will talk with the students, and sometimes we'll bring in some other students too who are currently there to kind of talk about what their experience has been. We have campus speakers, current law students, attorneys who come back to campus to speak with our students. Every fall for the past couple years, we've done a law school admissions panel. And so we have some folks from admissions come in and talk with students about personal statements and what it's, what they look for in applicants and how to set yourself apart, offering advice in those realms and talking a little bit about their institutions. So it's kind of nice to hear that, and students get to hear that as well. Internship and externship guidance. As I said, I work in career engagement. I run an externship program, which is a little bit more exploratory for students. And so if they are trying to figure out if the legal field might be the right fit, we try to get you out there early and shadowing people, being able to see it firsthand and seeing a variety of different practice areas within the law field. So we want you to experience that and feel like that's the right path for you before you make these next steps to law school. A lot of our students do internships. Sometimes it's right in the local Adams County. Sometimes it's back near home. It varies, and we are here to offer individual support and guidance into that realm as well. A legal studies minor is under construction, not necessarily learning as a liberal art, not necessarily a professional degree, and so there's more to come on that. So there's a little bit of an overview. We offer suggested courses. There's not, again, a specific list of courses that you need to take, but these are certainly suggested ones that might help you as you're thinking about heading to law school, potentially even taking the LSAT for law school. And so certainly some things to think about. And I would imagine if any of our student panelists here have insight into those classes, they'd be happy to share when they're talking. Planning purposes, we do offer a general timeline. Again, as you're coming in, taking a wide variety of courses, trying to figure out what interests you, challenging yourself, seeking out experiences to help you figure that out, gain practical experience in the field. And then third year and fourth year, those last 2 years, especially if you're planning to go right after college, we can start talking about the LSAT and how do you prepare for that, taking exams and getting your materials together. And so that's certainly there. And Professor Boddery teaches a legal analysis course, which is one of those suggested courses, so that if you are planning to head into law school, it could be a helpful one gives a little bit of a one-up on students, I think, and maybe not many undergraduate institutions offer, and you may not get until you're actually in law school. So it's a good option. Everybody wants to know about some applicant data, so I will leave this on the screen just for a little bit so that you can see. Average LSAT 158, average GPA 349. Again, these are averages. Number of applications per student, acceptances, and certainly the scholarship offering. 75% have been offered a scholarship in some fashion for going to law school. Again, all of this is individual, and we support students in terms of where they stand in their application cycle and situations and what makes sense for them and alumni. Another quick stats sheet from the 2018-2019 year. You can see those matriculated majors, a variety of majors, and oftentimes students at Gettysburg will double major, and so you will have a combination in some cases. But generally speaking, the 2018 and 2019 school year, we had 100% of our seniors accepted to at least one law school. And then certainly overall, with alumni included, you have about 90% heading off into law school. And you can see the tier 1 list of schools. I know oftentimes at Get Acquainted Day, we hear questions about what institutions are your students going to. And so that's just a small sample. But there's another slide in here that showcases a few more of those institutions too. And some of the students will be able to talk about what schools they might be heading off to. So Wellington is on here. Some extracurricular opportunities. You will get to hear from him a little bit about mock trial. They've done very well this year, so kudos to the group. We have PreLaw Club that is a little bit more in terms of the education, and they have in the past done study groups for LSAT, practicing questions, as well as organizing visits to local law schools to get a sense of classes and things. The Law Journal of Liberal Arts is headed and edited by Professor Scott Boddery, so he could probably speak a little bit more to that than I could. But he did put a slide in here to share with you all. We had this year's symposium was the first speaking event where Austin Surratt from Amherst College was able to be here, and it was a pretty good crowd. Took out one of our biggest auditoriums, and the president, our newest president of the college, attended as well, and gave a very nice feedback on that. But you can look for that more this year. And I believe there's student involvement in that too, in terms of editorial work and help in submissions and in reviewing. I'm seeing some of our panelists shake their heads, so they're confirming that for me. So 3 of our other participants on the call today, Yasmin is political science and public policy major, Abby Greer, international affairs and political science, and Ben Ponce, political science and public policy major. And Wellington, I'll let you share what your majors are when you speak as well. But you can see they're heading off to some law schools here, and very excited for them and these next steps, so they can talk a little bit about that. I'm going to leave this here. This is a sampling, I will say, of some of the institutions where our students have gone in the past years. And this is not all inclusive, I will say that, but we're adding to it, and certainly those who've been in the distant past you know, are coming back and talking with students. We have an alumni panel next week, next Wednesday. That's about 5 different current law students that are going to come back and talk with current students virtually about what is the law school experience like, what are classes like, how's it different, and what to expect as you head off. So there you go, panelists, you've got an inside look there. You can tune in next Wednesday as well. But for now, I'm gonna leave this here, and I'm gonna call on our students to share. I know they would like to share a little bit about their time here, and it's probably better than hearing me speak. So Wellington, I'm gonna kick it off with you if you're okay with that.
Yep, that's good. You can all hear me? All right, so my name is Wellington Bauman. I'm a political science major from Westport, Connecticut, and a senior. I will be graduating and going to work for a couple of years and then applying to law school. But that said, I've been really involved in a lot of law-related activities here at Gettysburg College. So first off, something you can do is the Pre-Law Club, which, as Tiffany began to talk a little bit about, is a group of students who are interested in the law who get together once a week, and they do LSAT questions, and they study together, and they navigate the LSAC website and how do I apply to law school. And every now and then they'll go off and do tours of a law school either in Pennsylvania or down in Maryland and DC. It's just a good resource, a good group of students that are all like-minded and motivating each other to go and pursue law school in whatever avenue that they decide to. Another organization that you can take part in is the Law Journal of the Liberal Arts, which we talked about, and that is a new creation here at Gettysburg, and it's very unique to an undergraduate institution, a liberal arts institution at that. And it's a open access online law journal. Kind of, you would think of law journals being like, you know, the Harvard Law Review comes to a mind, where people write these articles on something specific to the law. But what the Law Journal of the Liberal Arts wants to do is make the study of the law to adopt into the liberal arts ideologies. So coming from different interdisciplinary perspectives. So students can be involved in it by being article and notes editors. And I'm one of those editors, and some other people in this panel are as well. And what we do is we get article submissions, and we use the Blue Book citation method, which is taught in the legal analysis course. And you go through and you're editing these articles, and you have the option to write some yourself if you want to. So it's just really good experience, and definitely gives you a leg up going into college or going into a law school, because you're going to have that experience of using the Blue Book, which is not so easy on the first attempt. And then the last organization I want to talk about is, and something that's very special to me, is the mock trial team. Tiffany is our wonderful advisor, has been helping us out a lot. I've been involved all 4 years at Gettysburg College with the mock trial team. And this year I had the pleasure of serving as the team's captain. So for those of you who don't know what mock trial is, what we do is we compete with other colleges in simulated jury trials through the American Mock Trial Association. So in these competitions, students play as both lawyers and witnesses, and they make a case in front of a judge and a jury panel. And students are doing opening statements, closing statements, direct examinations, cross-examinations, making objections, moving things into evidence, the whole shebang. And they're scored, and it's a competition. It's a lot of fun, and it's a really good way for students to learn critical thinking skills, the federal rules of evidence, courtroom procedure, just oral advocacy. So it's definitely a great skill base, and it's a lot of fun. Every single year, the American Mock Trial Association creates a fictional case. They give you a case packet. It's about 200 pages of depositions, affidavits, various evidence, various pre-trial stuff, including like motions in limine, jury instructions, stipulations, special instructions. It goes on and on and on. So if that sounds like something that you would be interested in, that I would definitely check out the mock trial team. If when you come to Gettysburg, we have a fantastic coach who is a retired New York City litigator and a Gettysburg alum, class of '76. So when you come to Gettysburg, there's more than just the courses, which of course I definitely encourage you to do, and I've taken all the law-related courses, but there's also this great extracurricular base. And you don't have to be interested in law school to do these extracurricular activities either, but it's just a fun way to spend your time at Gettysburg and to help prepare for something you're going to do once you graduate.
Excellent. Thank you, Wellington. Jasmine, I'm gonna see if you're willing to share a little bit about your experience here next.
Yeah. Can everyone hear me? I think, okay. Yeah, so I am a political science and public policy double major. And for me personally, law, it's been something that I've been passionate about for a while, but for most of my experience, or I focused more on the advocating side of it. So what I mean is that prior to college, I was very involved. Like I had a lot of job opportunities where I was like more involved in just like going to rallies and like that sort of those kinds of things, because I've always been really passionate about social justice. And then when I came to college, I started like really thinking like, well, I can advocate, but through the legal field, rather than like advocating, or rather like not the legal field. And so far I've been, for the past 2 years, I would say, I've been really dedicated to taking classes that I know would help me would help me, I guess, adapt like the legal writing, because I know that, or I've learned that legal writing is very different from other kinds of writing. So last year, I think it was, or maybe 2 years ago, I started taking Professor Boddery's classes, which you kind of covered a few of them, or went through a few of them. And I like to focus a little bit on that and just like what I've learned about those classes, and how they further reaffirm my passions. So I took Political Science 225, which is constitutional law, and it focuses more on like institutional powers. So for this particular class, I learned how to read court cases, like how to really dissect them. I also learned how to do case briefs, but like most importantly, I learned, or I was introduced to legal writing, which again, like for me, I mean, I grew up kind of translating legal documents, so I was already familiar with the language, but I had not, learned how to really read something and then figure out, okay, how do I take all this information and condense it? And so this class like really introduced me to how to do things like that. And I also learned how to, I guess better analyze like the Supreme Court, for example, like just how some of the things, or how they synthesize some of the information. And then I also took Political Science 322, which is also constitutional law, but it's focused more on civil rights. And so I was really excited about this course because it delved deeper into just like injustices. And I remember that we in particular learned about bonds, or like we watched I think it was like a documentary, something of that nature, and we just talked a little bit more about like just like bonds and how it disproportionately affects people of color. And so this class, like I did the exact same things, but we talked a little bit more about what I found like more interesting. And currently I'm in Political Science 399, which is legal analysis. And this class is really hard, but I'm really enjoying it because, as you already know, I will be going to law school fall of 2020. So right now in this class, we've been learning how to do legal research, in particular how to like put together motions like to compel discovery, or like office memos and things of that nature. And again, I feel like the way I've taken the classes, like I can tell that it's been, my skills been building up, or it's built up, because like I said, like in the beginning, I started with just like learning how to, read things a certain way, how to write it a certain way. Like it kind of just like restructure how I think about things. And then, I started figuring out, okay, like I'm starting to realize how to do these things. Now I see that these things have reaffirmed my passions. And then lastly, with the class that I'm taking now, I see like, okay, like how do I get to, a position where I can now, apply everything and really, I guess like master it. And so like right now, I feel like I'm very prepared for at least my very first semester of law school.
Hey, thank you, Jasmine. That was great. Abby, I'll call on you next.
Okay, great. Hi guys, my name's Abby. I'm a political science and international affairs double major with a minor in French. I want to start out by saying that I came into Gettysburg not wanting to go to law school at all. My whole family had always kind of pushed me towards law school, which I think made me not want to do it. And then I took Professor Boddery's methods course, a political science methods course, which every political science major takes, in the spring of my sophomore year. And I absolutely loved his teaching style and the way he taught a class. So I ended up enrolling in the constitutional law classes for the next year, solely because he was teaching them, not really at all because I was interested in law. But little did I know that I would then kind of fall in love with it and decide to go to law school. It really appealed to me because the law is very direct and explicit, but it's also complex at the same time. And the fact that you can argue very valid arguments on both sides of a legal issue is just so interesting to me. For example, in the legal analysis class that Jasmine was just talking about, we had to write a motion for discovery and a motion for summary judgment. And for the motion for discovery, we were on one side of the parties, and for the motion for summary judgment, we're on the other. So we really had to advocate for both of those clients, whether or not you agree with them, which is kind of what happens in life too. So I decided ultimately to apply to law schools in the end of my junior year. I'm talking like very end of my junior year, probably May, which is very late, and I don't recommend doing that. But with the support of Professor Boddery and my other political science professors, I studied and took the LSAT by July. Again, I would not recommend doing that. You should take a lot longer to study. And then I had all my applications submitted by the middle of November. So just a year from when I decided to apply, I am now committed and attending Vanderbilt Law. I have no doubt that the letters of recommendation from Professor Boddery and also Professor Warshaw, who's another political science professor, helped me shape my application and get me into such a great school like Vanderbilt. The kind of support system that you find at Gettysburg is something that I find it hard to believe that you could get anywhere else, especially in terms of applying to graduate programs, not even just law school, but even if you wanted to get a master's in public policy or something like that, the support system is just incredible. And I've been so lucky to have these professors as my mentors and role models. If you have any questions for me specifically, I'd be happy to answer them. I'm going to put my email in the chat, so feel free to reach out and I will answer them the best that I can.
Thank you, Abby. And last but not least, certainly Ben Ponce, go for it.
Hi, my name's Ben Ponce, and before I dive too much into this, I just wanted to mention that don't let Abby convince you that she was late in all of this, because I really decided to go to law school about 5 months ago. And so, you know, last July, having made that decision, she's way ahead of the curve. But in any case, I would echo a lot of what other folks have said so far. You know, I guess I would just highlight two things that I am pretty convinced are why I was successful in applying to the law schools that I did. The first is that Gettysburg, you know, afforded me the opportunities to do a whole bunch of things pretty deeply, much more, you know. So when I was thinking about what college to go to 4 years ago, you know, I applied to some larger schools, you know, some schools that maybe have a better brand name, so to say, using the air quotes there. But that I am thoroughly convinced, had I not chosen Gettysburg, that I would not have had the breadth and the depth of opportunities that I had here, whether it, you know, the activities Wellington mentioned, like the Law Journal of the Liberal Arts, whether it's the Eisenhower Institute and Fielding Center programs that, you know, I think most of us on this panel have been involved in as well. I am the editor of the Gettysburgian, our campus newspaper. I am also the drum major of the marching band, which is kind of a whole other thing over on the side. And so I'm convinced that all of those things collectively, and having the opportunity to do all of them pretty deeply, are largely why I was able to be successful in applying to law school. And the second thing, as Abby mentioned as well, is the just tremendous advising that happens. I probably, when we were on campus, would be in Scott Boddery's office 3 times a week, if not, you know, every day, some weeks, whether it was a specific pre-law sort of question or just chatting. And it's really that contact, that frequent contact that you have with faculty members that helps them write colorful, textured letters of recommendation. And I can tell you, having spoken with the admissions counselor at Harvard Law School that accepted me, that those letters are in no small part why. And so I just don't have the sense that at other institutions you're going to have the opportunities to meet that many people at that deep of a level and have them make it their sole, you know. In the past year, I think I've probably had 75 letters of recommendation written for me for various things, and it has never been an imposition on the part of the person that I've asked to write them. And that's included our current college president and our former college president, who have both written letters for me for various things, including law school. And so I just think that as you're weighing what are surely many good options, that I wouldn't overlook the kind of access, unfettered access you have to people who view it as their job to sit and chat with you about whatever you'd like to chat about. And I think that kind of has been what has made Gettysburg a place that I have valued and that has set me up to go into law school. I'll be starting law school, not this coming fall, but the fall after that, because last week I won a Fulbright scholarship. So I'll be doing that next year. And then I'll go to law school after that. And I would credit Gettysburg as the only place of the places that I applied to college where those two things are likely to have happened as they did. So with that, I think I'm happy to drop my email in here as well if anyone would like to chat, or I can stick around for a while. I know we're kind of close to the end of time, but I'm also happy to answer any questions. So thanks.
That's great, Ben. Thank you, and congratulations on the Fulbright. I did not hear that or know that. Congrats.
Thanks. I keep pretty good secrets.
There you go. Yeah. So emails are in there. Hopefully you all can see that in the chat feature. And I am going to, on your screen, you should have both my email address as well as Professor Boddery's. Oh, whoops, that wasn't supposed to happen. There we go. So if you do have any questions or want to reach out to any of us, or for whatever reason, you know, you want to reach out to us and then be directed to these students who have been on the panelists, or other folks too that are on campus, or, oh my goodness, I need to stop touching the screen. then we're happy to do that. Or if you have other questions or just want to get into more specifics, and maybe if you didn't feel comfortable asking it in the chat today, that's completely fine. Email, we will respond as quickly as possible, but certainly appreciate everybody taking the time to be with us today, and being I would say flexible with having virtual Get Acquainted Day. We are excited to have everybody back on campus and being able to greet and share in excitement. But thank you all for coming today. I am gonna just check the chat once more. Thank you. We have Connor has a question. Do you think double majoring has helped prepare you better for law school? Would anyone like to take that on?
I'll take a stab at that and say, actually, no, I don't think it has. And if I had it to do over again, I probably wouldn't double major for the sake of, I double majored because I felt like it was something I should do because I had the room in my course schedule. I don't think it was helpful. I do think that minoring in music, which was just kind of a side interest of mine, probably was helpful in terms of getting into law school and also just in terms of enriching my experience at Gettysburg. But I do not think you need to double major to get into law school, and at times, or to, you know, be prepared for law school. And at times I think that it could be an impediment if you end up taking classes you don't care about to fulfill the requirements of a second major that is more marginal than the first.
I would second exactly what Ben said. Again, I came in not knowing I wanted to go to law school, so that's why I chose to double major in international affairs, because I thought I wanted to do more like State Department work and foreign service, which I totally changed my mind, obviously. But I think that it also, like Ben mentioned with music, I think it's definitely more beneficial to have one major that's maybe more tied to law, but then either double major or minor in something that you're truly interested in and that makes you stand out. If I could do it all over again, I would probably double major in economics because I absolutely love economics, but I just didn't decide soon enough. Music is another good one. My French minor is purely just because I enjoy it, and I think things like that are definitely more important than thinking you need the public policy, political science double major to get into law school.
I agree with that as well. And one thing that Professor Boddery always tells us is don't just double major or get a minor or something for the sake of it. You actually do have an interest in it, because that's going to mean you're actually going to do well. And there's no problem. And there's no problem with, like, no one's going to look at your resume or your transcript and go, well, why didn't you have a double major in X, Y, Z? It's, if you have one, that's great. If you want to have one, but give yourself the flexibility. I mean, I, for one, didn't double major, so I have the flexibility to go, and I studied Mandarin Chinese, and I spent a great semester abroad in Shanghai. And I'm not sure if I would have been able to do that if I had double majored in a more rigorous, or something that would have really taken up my my course schedule more.
So I agree with what everyone said, but similar to I forget who said this, but I double majored because I actually wanted to be only a public policy major, but they told me that I needed to major with something else. So then I took political science because I thought they were, I mean, in a way they are pretty similar, like they share some similarities, of course. That's probably why they are really good, as they overlap. But I've been enjoying being a double major just because of that reason. They overlap, so it's really easy to be on top of my work. But I think it was Abby that said this. So I also, yes, I was also interested in law, but I did think that right after college, I would be working like with the government somewhere in DC. So I figured, okay, like public policy, perfect. But then down the road, I was like, okay, I don't really see myself doing that anymore. But just like someone else mentioned, like because these are two majors that I care deeply about, and I enjoy, like, the courses that are offered for the major, I never saw it as a burden, nor do I still see it as a burden. Like, I've been doing pretty well. Like, this is my second semester, and it's actually, I have my second capstone due, but like, I don't feel pressure. So, if you want to double major, by all means, it just all depends on you and like what you want and like, how dedicated you are.
That's probably a perfect way to end our call today. I think it is everybody's individual, and so it's really important to, as students, to be talking with your advisors, reaching out to them, and as I think Ben said, people who are here and want to listen and want to help. That's Gettysburg community. So definitely don't hesitate to contact us, to ask more questions. But I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. Thank you all for joining. Ben, Wellington, Abby, Jasmine, thank you for being on this session today. We hope that everybody stays well, takes care, and we'll look forward to talking with you again soon.